sets the stage for the story, immediately immersing the reader in a tense and dangerous environmenta. Narrow canyon littered with debris, scorched metal, and the lingering scent of alien blood. The setting is deliberately chosen to highlight the human protagonist's vulnerability while simultaneously creating dramatic tension. By placing the human in a confined space surrounded by alien warriors, the story establishes both physical danger and narrative suspense. The canyon is not just a backdrop, it is an active element in the story, emphasizing the odds stacked against the human and highlighting the tactical advantage the aliens should have. Narrow terrain, jagged rocks, and restricted mobility make it nearly impossible for a wounded being to move freely, setting the expectation that the human will fail, which will later make his resilience and skill even more striking. The character of Zariath, the alien warrior, is introduced as a seasoned and confident fighter. Her initial perspective reflects a common alien assumption in HFY stories. Humans are weak, unprepared, or inferior. She sees the human's injured leg as a fatal flaw, a target she can exploit without effort. Her grin, raised crystalline blade, and deliberate approach all convey her certainty of victory, establishing her as both a credible threat and a foil for the human. This also reinforces the HFY theme of underestimation. The aliens assume humans are fragile or predictable, which makes the human's eventual display of skill more impactful. The human, by contrast, is initially portrayed as physically compromised. His left leg is wounded, a detail that signals weakness to any observer and lulls both Zariath and the reader into anticipating his failure. However, his demeanor, upright, calm, and ultimately smiling, despite the injury, hints at a deeper resilience. This subtle detail immediately marks him as different from the aliens, setting up the core HFY element. Human strength is not purely physical, but a combination of determination, adaptability, and mental fortitude. His limp, which should have been a liability, becomes a test of perception, forcing the alien to confront the unexpected. Humans endure, and they do so with unwavering composure. The climactic moment of Part 1 occurs when Zariath strikes the human's injured leg, expecting pain and collapse. Instead, her blade shatters upon impact. This is a crucial HFY moment for several reasons. First, it subverts expectations. The alien, trained to exploit weaknesses, finds that the human's physical vulnerability does not equate to defeat. Second, it introduces an element of awe and fear. The seemingly invincible human is not merely surviving injury, but defying the very limitations that the aliens assumed were absolute. Third, it visually emphasizes the difference between alien and human materials or biology. Her weapon fails where sheer alien skill should have sufficed, reinforcing the theme that humans are exceptional in ways the aliens cannot fully understand. Zariath's reaction, hesitation, disbelief, and mental recalibration is also central to Part 1. For the first time, she is confronted with a scenario she cannot dominate through brute force or traditional training. This reaction sets the stage for the story's larger theme, human unpredictability. The narrative explicitly shows that fear and awe can be induced not by overwhelming power alone, but by resilience, ingenuity, and the calm application of skill under duress. Her surprise conveys to the reader the magnitude of human capability, making it clear that what she faces is beyond normal combat experience. Finally, Part 1 establishes a psychological interplay between predator and prey. While Zariath assumes dominance, the human projects confidence, subtly taking control of the encounter. This inversion of expectations is a hallmark of HFY storytelling, emphasizing that human superiority often lies in strategy, adaptability, and moral or psychological strength, rather than mere physiology. The human smile, simple yet potent, is a signal to both the alien and the reader. Humans are not as elite broken, and what appears to be weakness may hide immense strength. In essence, Part 1 is more than an opening battle. It is a carefully constructed exposition. It sets up the environment, defines characters, introduces the central conflict, and lays the foundation for the HFY theme. Humans are underestimated, resilient, and capable of feats that alien societies cannot predict. Every detail, from the canyon to the shattered blade to the human's calm demeanor, serves to foreshadow the awe-inspiring dominance he will display in the following parts. It's a masterclass in tension building. Showing that off, the story shifts focus from the initial surprise of the ambush to the demonstration of the human's tactical brilliance and adaptability. This section is pivotal because it begins to establish the human not just as resilient, but as strategically superior, a core theme in HFY narratives. While Part 1 sets the stage with suspense and astonishment at the human's ability to withstand injury, Part 2 emphasizes his ability to actively control and manipulate the flow of combat. Even when physically disadvantaged, the narrative begins with the alien warrior's reaction. After witnessing Zariath's failed strike and the shattered blade, the other aliens are momentarily paralyzed. Their uncertainty signals a fundamental HFY concept. Humans inspire awe, not through exotic physiology or overwhelming firepower, but through unpredictability and intelligence. In this moment, the human's reputation as a weak, injured prey is completely subverted. The story uses the alien's hesitation to underscore human superiority, whereas alien combat relies on instinct, preconception, and brute strength. Humans rely on observation, learning, and anticipation. The human's movements in Part 2 are described as deliberate, yet seemingly effortless. Despite his wounded leg, he maneuvers with precision, turning her momentum against her. This is critical in conveying the HFY theme of leveraging intellect over brute force. While Zariath relies on her training and expectations, the human reads her motion, predicts her strike, and uses physics to his advantage, allowing her own energy to propel her off balance. This demonstrates a level of battlefield awareness and kinesthetic intelligence that surpasses the alien norm. The narrative emphasizes that his advantage is not raw strength, but situational control. He doesn't merely react to danger, he manipulates it, demonstrating a tactical sophistication unique to humans. The juxtaposition between Zariath H and the human highlights cultural and species-based differences in combat philosophy. Zariath H represents a structured, predictable form of warfare training. Rules and preconceptions dominate her strategy. She sees weakness, assumes death, and acts on that assumption. The human, however, is adaptive. He does not fight according to alien rules. He integrates the environment into his combat, reads the opponent's psychological state, and capitalizes on their overconfidence. This contrast is a recurring HFY motif. Humans are exceptional because they do not conform to alien logic. Their ingenuity, unpredictability, and capacity for creative problem-solving make them overwhelming opponents. Even when physically compromised, Part 2 also builds suspense and tension through pacing. The human's movements are described in a way that conveys calm control. While Zariath's reactions are erratic and panicked, she swings again, trying to regain dominance, but the human anticipates her actions. The story emphasizes the subtle details of the encounter: shifts in balance, feints, twists, and calculated touches. These are not flashy, violent actions. They are precise, intelligent maneuvers that showcase human adaptability. In HFY storytelling, these moments are crucial because they distinguish humans as a species that thrives under pressure, turning apparent disadvantages into opportunities. Another important element is psychological dominance. The human doesn't just dodge or counter. He projects confidence through his demeanor, movement, and even his smile. This is significant because, in alien societies depicted in HFY stories, psychological warfare and intimidation are powerful tools. By remaining calm and assertive, the human destabilizes Zariath's mental state, further amplifying the discrepancy between their capabilities. This moment reinforces the HFY theme that human resilience is multidimensional. It is physical, mental, and emotional simultaneously. Finally, Part 2 foreshadows the larger narrative trajectory. The human's control over the battlefield, despite injury, signals that he will not only survive, but dominate. The aliens' growing realization of their misjudgment sets up the awe and fear that will pervade the subsequent parts. This section also serves to build admiration for human capability without resorting to exaggeration. Every move is believable, grounded in tactical reasoning, and consistent with the species' portrayed strengths, adaptability, intelligence, and an indomitable will. In conclusion, Part 2 shifts the story from astonishment to strategic superiority. Through the human's deliberate movements, anticipation of enemy actions, and psychological dominance, the narrative reinforces the HFY theme that humans are exceptional not because they are invincible, but because they think, adapt, and endure. By carefully contrasting the predictable alien warrior with the unpredictable human, the story highlights the unique combination of intellect, instinct, and resilience that makes humans a force unlike any other in the galaxy. The story deepens the psychological and emotional dimensions of the encounter while further emphasizing the HFY theme. Humans are uniquely resilient, adaptable, and capable of inspiring awe in other species. While the previous sections focused on the human's physical prowess and tactical advantage, Part 3 shifts the narrative toward the mutual recognition of strength and the alien warrior's gradual realization that she is facing something beyond ordinary understanding. At the beginning of Part 3, Xaria's initial surprise and hesitation evolve into confusion and awe. She begins to question the assumptions that guided her actions, the belief that a wounded opponent is a doomed one, and that predictable, disciplined techniques guaranteed victory. These assumptions, ingrained through years of training and cultural reinforcement, are shattered when she sees the human move with calm precision despite his injured leg. The narrative uses her perspective to show the alien realization that humans operate according to a different set of principles, a combination of resilience, perception, and intelligence that alien societies rarely encounter. Her shock is crucial for establishing the HFY theme. Humans redefine the limits of endurance and capability in ways that other species cannot anticipate. One of the central moments in Part 3 is the human's deliberate approach. Despite his limp, he advances methodically, displaying an uncanny balance of caution and assertiveness. Each step is purposeful, demonstrating that his movements are guided not by instinct alone but by strategic calculation. This moment emphasizes the HFY motif of adaptability. The human is not simply surviving. He is shaping the encounter, controlling the flow of combat. He reads Xaria's actions and predicts her reactions, turning what should be his vulnerability into an advantage. The story deliberately contrasts this intelligent, adaptive approach with the alien reliance on brute force and rigid combat rules, reinforcing the message that humans excel where others are constrained by convention. Dialogue in Part 3 further illuminates the psychological dynamic between the two characters. When Xariath exclaims in disbelief that the human should be down, it highlights the alien assumption that physical injury dictates the outcome of a fight. The human's response, "Not every being follows your rules," is understated yet profound. It signals the human's confidence, experience, and philosophical difference from the aliens. He demonstrates that strength is not merely a matter of physiology or training, but of will, awareness, and strategic insight. In HFY storytelling, these moments of quiet assertion are just as important as physical feats because they convey the broader concept of human exceptionalism. Part 3 also emphasizes the alien warriors. Growing respect for the human, this is crucial to the narrative, because HFY stories often hinge on the recognition of human superiority by other species. Xariath's internal struggle, her disbelief, her recalibration of expectations, and her dawning respect serves as a mirror for the reader, illustrating just how extraordinary humans are within the context of the story. Her awe is not limited to the human's physical abilities. It encompasses his tactical mind, composure under pressure, and the quiet authority he exudes. The narrative uses this psychological shift to reinforce the HFY theme. Humans are formidable not because they are invincible, but because they combine multiple dimensions of excellence in ways that defy alien assumptions. Another significant element in Part 3 is the portrayal of anticipation and control. The human's ability to foresee Zareth's movements and manipulate her momentum underscores his mastery of the battlefield. This isn't luck, it is the result of observation, experience, and an intuitive understanding of combat mechanics. By emphasizing these qualities, the story conveys that humans can leverage both their intellect and their physicality to dominate opponents who rely solely on strength or training. The shattered blade from Part 1 gains additional significance here. It symbolizes the failure of conventional alien methods against human ingenuity. Finally, Part 3 foreshadows the further escalation of human dominance. Zareth's astonishment sets up the tension for the next stages of the story. The human will continue to demonstrate superiority, not only through tactical skill but through his psychological presence. Part 3 establishes the precedent that human strength is multidimensional: physical, intellectual, and emotional land that other species will be forced to recalibrate their understanding of power when facing humans. In conclusion, Part 3 focuses on the recognition of human exceptionalism from the perspective of the alien warrior. Through deliberate movement, strategic anticipation, and calm confidence, the human demonstrates that his resilience and adaptability surpass alien expectations. Zareth's evolving respect illustrates the HFY theme that humans redefine combat and survival, inspiring awe even in those who once considered them weak. By highlighting both psychological and tactical elements, this part deepens the narrative's impact and sets the stage for the climactic confrontations to follow of the story. Represents a crucial narrative and thematic pivot. Up until this point, the focus has been on the human's resilience, adaptability, and the alien warrior Zareth's dawning respect. Part 4 escalates the conflict, showcasing not only the human's physical and tactical superiority, but also the psychological effect it has on the alien forces surrounding him. This section is pivotal in HFY storytelling because it transforms the human from a mere survivor into a figure of dominance and awe, making his exceptionalism undeniable to all observers. The opening of Part 4 emphasizes the reactions of the surrounding alien warriors. After witnessing the human's calm, calculated movements and Zareth's inability to strike him effectively, the aliens hesitate, their confidence shaken. This hesitation is a hallmark of HFY narratives. Humans are exceptional not only in direct combat, but also in the way they inspire fear and uncertainty in opponents who thought they were invincible. The aliens' collective pause signals a shift in power dynamics. What was initially expected to be a straightforward ambush has become a test of their assumptions, demonstrating that the human operates according to an entirely different set of rules. A key feature of Part 4 is the human's use of the environment to his advantage. Unlike the aliens, who rely largely on training, brute force, and predictable techniques, the human integrates the terrain, shadows, uneven ground, and spatial constraints into his strategy. Every movement is purposeful, leveraging physics, momentum, and anticipation of enemy behavior. This is a critical HFY motif. Human ingenuity allows them to manipulate circumstances, turning apparent disadvantages into opportunities. Even with a wounded leg, the human navigates the battlefield with precision, demonstrating that human strength is multidimensional: physical, intellectual, and strategic simultaneously. Part 4 also highlights the human's psychological dominance over his opponents. Zareth, who initially approached the encounter with confidence, is now visibly off balance, both literally and mentally. Her strikes are hesitant, her decisions cautious. The narrative emphasizes that her uncertainty is a direct result of the human's calm composure and calculated maneuvers. In HFY storytelling, this inversion is essential. Humans are portrayed as unshakable in the face of danger, a quality that unsettles species accustomed to relying on intimidation or structured combat systems. The human does not merely fight. He forces his enemies to confront their own misjudgments and inadequacies. The disarming of Zareth is the climactic moment of Part 4. After anticipating her attacks, exploiting her momentum, and reading her intentions, the human neutralizes her primary weapon. This act is significant on multiple levels. First, it demonstrates physical skill and strategic foresight. He manipulates the flow of battle to remove her advantage without unnecessary force. Second, it symbolizes the futility of conventional alien tactics against human adaptability. Her crystalline blade, once a symbol of alien superiority, fails against a species that does not play by the expected rules. Third, it solidifies the psychological hierarchy. The human has not just survived, but actively dominated the encounter, establishing himself as the apex presence on the battlefield. Dialogue in Part 4 reinforces the human's philosophy and the HFY theme. When he tells Zareth, "Now you understand, weakness is a choice. I choose not to be weak," the narrative conveys the idea that human strength transcends physical ability. It is as much about mindset, resilience, and intentional action as it is about muscle or weaponry. This line serves as a thematic anchor, reminding both Zareth H. and the audience that humans redefine combat expectations. Weakness is not dictated by injury, disadvantage, or circumstance. It is overcome through resolve, ingenuity, and courage. Finally, Part 4 foreshadows the broader consequences of underestimating humans. The other alien warriors' fear and hesitation hint at future encounters where human unpredictability and dominance will force entire species to rethink their assumptions. The human's calm yet decisive actions make it clear that his superiority is not situational, but inherent. It arises from a combination of intellect, adaptability, and indomitable will. The stage is set for the final confrontation in Part 5, where the full scope of human exceptionalism will be revealed. Serves as the culmination of the narrative, resolving both the physical confrontation and the psychological tension established in the earlier parts. It emphasizes the full scope of human superiority, illustrating why humans are a force unlike any other species in the galaxy. In HFY storytelling, the climax is not only about defeating an opponent, it is about revealing a species' inherent exceptionalism, both in action and in character. Part 5 achieves this by showing how the human dominates the battlefield while simultaneously inspiring awe and respect in his alien adversaries. The opening of Part 5 immediately conveys the impact of the human's earlier actions. Silence falls over the canyon, which had previously been filled with clashing blades and the shouts of combatants. This narrative choice underscores the psychological effect of human capability. Unlike other species, humans do not rely solely on intimidation, overwhelming numbers, or alien technology to command respect. Their presence, competence, and composure are enough to alter the behavior of entire enemy forces. The silence signifies a recognition that the human is not merely a survivor but an apex combatant whose abilities defy the expectations of the alien species. Zareth's reaction in this section is central to the HFY theme. Having gone from confidence to disbelief to cautious respect, she now experiences awe. She watches a wounded human one who should have been incapacitated by injury move with precision, dominance, and calculated control. Her astonishment is not born of fear alone. It is born of recognition that humans combine qualities rarely found in other species: resilience, intellect, strategic insight, and calm composure under extreme stress. The narrative emphasizes that her admiration is genuine, reflecting the broader HFY motif that humans inspire respect through their extraordinary combination of traits rather than sheer physical might alone. A pivotal moment in Part 5 is the human extending a hand to Zareth H., not as a gesture of threat or condescension, but as one of understanding and acknowledgement. This act symbolizes several HFY principles. First, it demonstrates that humans' strength is multidimensional. It encompasses not only physical prowess but moral clarity and empathy. Second, it conveys the concept that true dominance does not require cruelty. A human can control a battlefield and command respect without unnecessary aggression. Third, it reinforces the idea that human superiority is recognized by other species, even when initially underestimated. Zareth's willingness to accept the gesture illustrates the psychological power humans wield. Their mastery is both tangible and intangible, rooted in actions and the moral authority conveyed by those actions. The narrative also emphasizes the broader implications of this encounter. The humans' display of skill, strategy, and composure forces not just Zareth, but her entire species to reconsider their assumptions about human weakness. In HFY storytelling, these moments serve as a warning and a revelation. Humans are unpredictable, resilient, and capable of feats that defy alien logic. The story positions humans as a species that cannot be fully understood or anticipated, making them a unique and formidable presence in the galaxy. The astonishment of the alien warriors amplifies this message. They do not simply retreat because of physical force, they hesitate because their understanding of combat, hierarchy, and superiority has been fundamentally challenged. Additionally, Part 5 reinforces the theme that human strength is holistic. Throughout the story, the human demonstrated resilience enduring a grievous leg wound, tactical brilliance anticipating and countering attacks, and psychological dominance, calm confidence that unsettled opponents. In this final part, these traits converge. The human's control over the battlefield is absolute, yet it is paired with a sense of humility and moral authority. By not exploiting Zareth unnecessarily, by offering acknowledgement instead of vengeance, the human exemplifies the multifaceted nature of human superiority, which extends beyond raw combat ability to include judgment, foresight, and ethical consideration. The ending of Part 5 leaves a lasting impression by highlighting the human's symbolic role. The canyon, once filled with fear and aggression, now echoes with a new truth. Humans are unstoppable not because they are invincible, but because they redefine the very parameters of power. Their adaptability, resilience, and intelligence create a level of capability that other species cannot easily comprehend. Zareth and the aliens' collective recognition serve as narrative proof of human exceptionalism, reinforcing the core HFY message that humans are a species to be respected, feared, and admired. In conclusion, Part 5 resolves the story by demonstrating the full extent of human dominance through tactical mastery, psychological control, and moral authority. The human transcends physical limitations and challenges alien assumptions. Zareth and the aliens' hesitation highlight that human exceptionalism is multidimensional, encompassing intellect, resilience, adaptability, and ethical clarity. This climax solidifies the HFY theme. Humans are extraordinary not merely because they survive, but because they inspire, awe, redefine expectations, and command respect through a combination of strength, strategy, and character. The story ends with a resonant message. Humans are a force that the galaxy cannot ignore or underestimate.